Testing 1, 2, 3, here I go. Give me that microphone. Give me that microphone. Is this thing on?
The moment I've been waiting for is finally knocking at my door. My day up in the sun is just a ride. The world is mine and it's my stage. I'm owning this, I came to play. Just shout out, scream it out and testify. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. I'ma give 'em a sight to see. Buckle on up and get ready. Give me that mic. Now's the time. Give me that microphone.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Molly Wright-Steenson. I'm Vice Provost for Faculty and Associate Professor in the School of Design. Welcome to Carnegie Mellon University. Woo! Thank you for joining us today as we gather here for an official welcome for you, our incoming class of graduate students. We are delighted you have decided to become a part of our academic community. We look forward to getting to know you. And we are here to help you advance toward your academic, personal, and professional goals. You have come to Carnegie Mellon in one of our hundreds of outstanding graduate programs. In your time here, you will go deep and broad, challenging yourself on this next chapter of your journey. First, I want you to take a look around. Look at the people all around you. These people here will be your community. You are now a part of something much bigger. In fact, today, you are joining a community of thousands of faculty and staff, more than 15,000 students, and nearly 120,000 alumni spanning the globe. I'm confident you will find this an exceptional place to learn, to discover, to create, and to innovate. Whether in the classroom, laboratory, studio, or cluster, you join us in your commitment to advance the leading edge of your field of research, practice, or study. The expectations here are great, but the rewards are even greater. As graduate students, you are here to make a big impact. Many of you will create new knowledge or artistic innovations. Some of you will teach. Some of you will lead campus organizations or develop new community initiatives. All of you will contribute to who we are and what we aspire to become. There are countless opportunities open to you. I encourage you, in fact, let me be clear, I challenge you to take advantage of them. These opportunities will make your studies and your life richer. You're beginning your graduate study at both a daunting and exciting time in history, a time when the world needs you to use your passions, your talents, and your ideas to create a better future for all. We are glad you are a part of us, and we look forward to all that you do while you are here at Carnegie Mellon and beyond throughout your career. Your peers and colleagues from across the university have worked together to create a week of orientation activities to help launch your Carnegie Mellon experience. Throughout this orientation, we'll share contacts and resources with you. Some of these will help you find answers to your questions. Others may help you discover opportunities you didn't even know existed. So be open and attentive. Ask, learn, engage, and connect. One of the people I would encourage you to get to know is our president. He is a talented scholar, educator, researcher, entrepreneur, visionary, and leader. And he is a passionate advocate for students. It is my honor to now introduce the 10th president of Carnegie Mellon University, Dr. Farnam Jahanian. Please join me in welcoming the president to the podium.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, Molly, thank you. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for your leadership as our Vice Provost for Faculty. Thank you, Molly. Thanks for all that you do. Well, hello. There are about 3,000 graduate students joining our Pittsburgh campus community this year, and you're among the 3,000. I do have a question for you. Are you excited to be here? I have a group of deans that are sitting up front. They're your deans. I think they want me to ask that question again. CMU grad students, are you excited to be here? It's much better, much better. Well, on behalf of the entire university community, welcome to Carnegie Mellon. I want to begin by acknowledging my colleagues who are here today to welcome you. In addition to Molly, we're also joined by Gina Castellino, our Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, and by Wanda Heading-Grant, our CMU Vice Provost for DEI. I'm also delighted to be joined here this afternoon by Divyansh Kaushik, who is the president of our Student Assembly. In just a few minutes, I will introduce him to join me at the podium. We're also very pleased to welcome many of our deans and associate deans from across colleges and schools, as well as members of our senior leadership team. Will those academic and administrative leaders please stand to be recognized? Please, all of you. Thank you. Molly, that includes you. Thank you for joining us. I do want to acknowledge that our wonderful provost, Provost Jim Garrett, he is not here. He's representing CMU at another event today, although you're going to hear from him very shortly via video. We are grateful for his leadership, and he asked me to convey to you that he's looking forward to meeting you during this upcoming academic year. Today, you begin your journey as CMU graduate students and your lifelong relationship with Carnegie Mellon. Many of you may be coming to the United States for the first time. We have a large number of international students. I want to tell you that I was in your shoes a few years ago. Actually, it was last century, but we don't have to talk about that. I was 16 years old when I came to this country as an Iranian student. So I know firsthand how especially our international students might be feeling. But I want all of you to relax, because you have chosen your destination exceptionally well. You're here, after all, because Carnegie Mellon is a hotbed of innovation and creativity. You're here because you have the talent to make your mark on the community, on our community of scholars and our society. Let me tell you a little bit about your new home for the next couple of years, or for our PhD students, next few years. CMU is an exceptionally multinational and multicultural community, a microcosm of today's interconnected world. Our 1,400 faculty members come from 51 diverse nations, and our 120,000 alumni around the world live and work in 144 countries around the globe. This group, you're also a wonderful example of our diversity. In today's class, in fact, about 65 to 70% are international students who are arriving from 85 different nations. I have to tell you, It doesn't matter if you're from New Jersey or New Delhi. Anybody from New Jersey here? Okay. Anybody from New Delhi here? Okay, great. I see a bunch of people raising their hands. Doesn't matter where you're from. CMU is proud to welcome you here to discover and develop your passions. The CMU community is bound by our shared values of inclusion and equity. We're also driven by an unwavering commitment to excellence and to impact on society. Make no mistake, you have arrived at CMU at truly an exciting time. We're in the midst of a profound societal transformation that's catalyzed by digitization of information, automation, and democratization of knowledge, and unprecedented access to data and analytics. The fourth industrial revolution is reshaping every sector of our economy, from healthcare to finance to energy, manufacturing, and so much more. You know, the pandemic has only accelerated some of these seismic shifts that we have been experiencing. Carnegie Mellon is, in fact, at the center of this transformation. Our trailblazing faculty and students are actively engaged in work that matters to our society, to our economy, and to our culture. Across a broad range of areas, from cybersecurity, data science, advanced materials and manufacturing and automation, to art and design, technology-enhanced learning, neuroscience, digital humanities, and behavioral economics, and the list goes on. CMU has developed a reputation as a pioneer in responding to the complex challenges at the intersection of technology and humanity. With the support of our Block Center for Technology and Society, for example, we're examining the impact of technology on the future of work and the role of higher education in responding to the changing needs of our society. Perhaps what makes CMU truly distinct is the way in which we intertwine science and technology with social science, humanities, and the arts to create a rich interdisciplinary culture. Just consider, CMU has produced 20 Nobel laureates, 13 Turing Award winners, 92 members of National Academies of Engineering, Science, and Medicine, and Public Administration. But at the same time, our alumni have won 58 Tony Awards, 13 Oscars, and 142 Emmys. This remarkable reputation for pursuing innovative work across all areas is why you have come here from near and far to be part of our story. As you join this intellectually diverse community, you will also come to appreciate our culture of entrepreneurship. Carnegie Mellon has one of the fastest growing entrepreneurial ecosystems in the nation, with opportunities to conceive, collaborate, launch, and lead in new endeavors. I hope all of you will have the opportunity to interact with our Schwartz Center for Entrepreneurship, which is a hub for entrepreneurial activities, and the possibilities are truly endless. More than 400 startups, just as an example, are linked to Carnegie Mellon. Over the last 10 years have raised more than $7 billion of funding. At the same time, we're partnering with more than 500 companies, and that's impacting both our research as well as our education programs. So many of those companies, like Google, Uber, Facebook, Philips, Caterpillar, Bosch, and so on, have in fact even opened R&D centers in Pittsburgh to be close to our campus. And of course, many of these companies around the world are recruiting our students as interns and also as permanent employees. But as a result of this, Pittsburgh has also developed quite a reputation as a breeding ground for innovation, and the city is driving the future of some of the most transformative technologies, from AI to robotics and advanced manufacturing and materials. But everywhere you look on our campus, you can also see the future unfolding. We're making critical investments in our infrastructure to support our vision for cross-cutting research and education. And here's some of the examples of the investment from ANSYS Hall to SCAFE Hall and a number of other infrastructure investments that we've made. I hope that you will have the opportunity to benefit from all of these. But while there are also incredible spaces here, being a graduate student cannot mean just shutting yourself in a lab, studio, or an office. Joining this university means becoming a member of our community, a community that's driven by excellence, of course, but one where we also value the personal and intellectual growth of our students. And for that reason, we're also investing in the idea that a body, mind, that healthy mind, body, and spirit is a foundation for lifetime success. And last year, in fact, we broke ground on Highmark Center for Health, Wellness, and Athletics, which is going to be available to serve our students in a couple of years. But before I wrap up, I want to share with you a couple of pieces of advice as you launch your graduate career here at CMU. I have 3 pieces of advice for you. First, don't be afraid of venturing outside your academic boundaries. Our distinct culture recognizes that breakthroughs come when disciplines intersect through collaboration. So, for all of you, step outside your comfort zone every once in a while. Indulge in reading that's not required. It can create a context for new discoveries, potential breakthroughs, cultural explorations, and new forms of creative expressions. Second piece of advice, focus on the present. Focus on your time at Carnegie Mellon. A very wise person once said, one of life's ultimate luxuries is the power to choose how you spend your time. You may not realize this now, but in graduate school, you have that luxury. Make every experience a meaningful one and take advantage of the intellectual community, this diverse intellectual community that surrounds you. And perhaps more importantly, this third piece of advice for you. Develop a healthy work-life balance. After 2 years of COVID, your attention, your mental health, and your well-being is more important than ever. Lean on your existing relationships as well as lifelong friendships that I'm certain you will make during your time here at Carnegie Mellon. Create time for yourself and make sure you get some sleep. Of course, if you need help or face a challenge that overwhelms you, please come to us. Our faculty and staff are here to support you. Once again, on behalf of the entire Carnegie Mellon community, welcome to CMU. At this time, I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, Devyansh Kaushik, who's president of CMU's Graduate Student Assembly. Devyansh is a PhD candidate at the Language Technologies Institute in our School of Computer Science and a Science and Technology Policy Fellow at the Federation of American Scientists. I can say a lot about Devyansh and just embarrass him, but instead of doing that, I want to tell you that he has become a trusted advocate for graduate student issues at the national level, not only advocating for them here on our campus, but providing a much-needed leadership at the national level. In fact, the picture I'm sharing with you, there it is a picture of Devyansh and I last week. I told you I was going to show a picture. It's a picture of Devyansh and me last week at the White House during the signing of the CHIPS and Science Act, which just happened. It was a bipartisan legislation that authorizes record funding in support of U.S. innovation, including support for graduate student talent development. In fact, I can tell you, I don't think there were more than a couple of graduate students over at this event, and Devyansh was invited to come and join us at the White House because of his national advocacy. With that, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Divyansh as he takes the podium. Divyansh, come on out.
You know, for a moment there, I was worried when he said that I was going to show pictures. I was not sure if those were going to be baby pictures. But thank you, Dr. Tanyan. And good morning and welcome, everyone. You know, this is a great day. I was very much looking forward to this day. You know, we did this last year in a very different environment, virtually, and I'm so glad we're back here in person. As Dr. Tanyan mentioned, I am Divyansh Kaushik. I'm the president of your Graduate Student Assembly, or GSA for short. It was my great pleasure to welcome the class of 2021, but I would tell you, like the incoming class in 2021, but I would tell you that it is an even bigger pleasure to welcome you all because this is the first fully in-person ceremony we've had, I believe, in 3 years. And that goes to the point that Dr. Tanyan was raising of how things have changed and how things will change going forward as well. But you know, I would like to welcome you all to this new journey you have all chosen to embark upon as graduate students at CMU. You know, the GSA is the branch of student government that advocates for you for issues important to graduate students both on and off campus, whether that's in Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, or in Washington, D.C. We also organize a lot of social events that are open to all graduate students. Our job is to ensure that your graduate student experience here is the most enjoyable and memorable time you will have. You know, when I was asked to speak here today, I reflected on when I came here 5 years ago. As an international student from India, I really looked forward to the opportunity to experience life in a new country. You know, I was excited for the world-class education that I would receive and the new doors that would potentially open for me in my professional career. And it has been just that and more. In the last 5 years, I've had the opportunity to work with some of the most brilliant thinkers and scholars from all around the world, learn from them, and publish with them some groundbreaking research that I'm absolutely grateful for. I have had the opportunity to help and pass laws in Congress, and I have had the opportunity to serve as your GSA president. I hope that you too will make the most of all the opportunities that you are presented at this campus, that you're presented with at this campus as a graduate student. You know, in this experience, there's a lot of room for growth and a lot of room for relationships to form with your fellow graduate students. No one will understand this experience like those around you now. You know, when Molly said, look around you, this is going to be your community. That's right. You know, personally, some of the best friends I've ever made in my life were in my first year class here at Carnegie Mellon. You know, that's another thing that all of those have graduated and I'm still here, but I'll get out soon. I advise you to cherish this time. You know, I've also been very lucky in my research and with my advisors to have space to work on issues that I'm passionate about outside my field of study. You know, I would challenge you all to try and find places where you can make positive change. You know, I think this is important and should be prioritized because I can attest that this is very rewarding. You don't know when your efforts will end up impacting the lives of others around you, whether in this room or outside here. And before I wrap up, you know, I want to emphasize a few things. There are a few things that I would like to share with you as you begin your time here. I think I would use the word wisdom, but that would make me feel old, so we'll not go there. But first and foremost, always remember to stay true to yourself. The pressures of grad school can be a lot, but it is important to remember why you came here in the first place. Be passionate about your research and never give up on your dreams. You know, secondly, get involved. There are so many different organizations around campus that cater specifically to grad students. Getting involved in these organizations is a great way to meet new people and get the most out of your time here at our university. And finally, enjoy yourself. Grad school can be challenging, sure, but it is also an incredibly rewarding experience. Make sure to take the time to explore everything our university has to offer, both inside and outside the classroom. And not just our university, but the city of Pittsburgh. It's a remarkable city. Go outside, explore. I know that many of you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now, but trust me, you're going to love it here. We have an amazing community of scholars and researchers, and I know that all of you will find your place here. One of the things I am most proud of is our commitment to supporting our graduate students, and I'm sure you will recognize that soon enough. And as you do this, do not be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Whether it's academic advice from a professor or just someone to talk to about the stresses of grad school, there are plenty of people here who are more than happy to help out. And finally, remember to take care of yourself, as Dr. Jahanian mentioned. There is value in taking time off and doing something you enjoy. Pittsburgh is an amazing city that has a lot to offer you, a lot to offer to everyone. And be sure to make the most of your time here. And for all of these things, getting involved, making friends, enjoying yourself, the GSA is a great resource. We have worked hard over the summer to bring new ways for you to engage with one another. And I hope to interact with a lot of you much more in the future. And so with that, thank you very much for your attention. Enjoy the rest of your orientation and your time here at CMU. I now invite Molly back to the podium to introduce the next part of the program.
Thank you, Divyansh. At this time, I am delighted to introduce a video from Provost Jim Garrett. As Dr. Jahanian mentioned, Dr. Garrett is traveling on university business, so he's unable to join us today here in person, but he wanted to share his best wishes with all of you.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend today's event in person, but I am pleased to be able to officially welcome you to Carnegie Mellon University. This is an exciting time to be an incoming graduate student at CMU, and I'm so glad that you're able to join us. As you continue your academic journey here today, you'll follow in the footsteps of some of the brightest minds in the world. You join an exceptional, global, and diverse community that is transforming the world. As graduate students, you play a unique role in creating and sharing new knowledge as artists, scientists, philosophers, engineers, entrepreneurs, business professionals, and status quo disruptors. In fact, we look to you to be campus leaders of long overdue conversations about inclusive excellence and thriving amidst this global pandemic. As graduate students, you serve as models for our undergraduate students as they find their footing academically and personally. Of course, we know you can't do it alone. As one of my favorite proverbs says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. To go far, in other words, to make changes that impact the world, you'll need support along the way. And you'll find that support throughout the university, from the university administration, from your colleges, schools, and departments, and from each other. As the provost and chief academic officer, I work closely with your faculty, department heads, and deans to prepare for your educational experiences. Our goal is to foster your leadership potential, elevate your ideas, and nurture your curiosity about the world as you develop both personally and professionally. We lean on the expertise of academic leaders throughout each of our 7 schools and colleges who are committed to offering you the world-class education that brought you to Carnegie Mellon. As a matter of fact, I'd like to introduce you to some of your key supporters, our deans, at this time. Bill Sanders, the Dr. William D. and Nancy W. Strecker, Dean of the College of Engineering. Mary Ellen Poole, the Stanley and Marcia Gumberg Dean of the College of Fine Arts. Richard Shyness, the Best Family Dean of the Mariana Brown Dietrich College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Ramaya Krishnan, Dean of the Heinz College of Information Systems and Public Policy. Rebecca Dorge, the Glenn DeVries Dean of the Mellon College of Science, Marshall Hebert, Dean of the School of Computer Science, Isabelle Bajou, Dean of the Tupper School of Business, and Keith Webster, the Helen and Henry Posner Jr. Dean of the University Libraries. This exceptional group of leaders is dedicated to your success, and I know they look forward to seeing you and meeting you soon. I too look forward to seeing you all in person as you begin your graduate school journey. Again, welcome to Carnegie Mellon.
And now I am pleased to welcome Dr. Wanda Heading-Grant to the podium. Dr. Heading-Grant is the Vice Provost for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Carnegie Mellon's Chief Diversity Officer. She holds a faculty appointment as Distinguished Service Professor in the Heinz College of Information Systems and Public Policy. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Wanda Heading-Grant.
Okay, Molly just told me to have fun. So let's see if I can have a little fun. So thank you. I am Dr. Wanda Heading-Grant, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. And as it was said, I am the Chief Diversity Officer, Vice Provost for D&I here at Carnegie Mellon University, and I am having a great time. It is my pleasure to be standing before you, and I have recognized this is my second year, recognize how much I've been changing inside and outside. And I love that Provost Garrett spoke about who the leaders are here at the institution. It is part of why I've been having a great time is because I have some great partners. And these are individuals that you will begin to meet even more and more. These deans that are sitting up here up front, Gina, you'll hear from her later, Castellino, and thank you. I have to thank President Jahanian and his leadership around the DE&I work. I thought about what I would say to you all, and as I was thinking about it, it reminded me of my first day of classes as a doctorate candidate. I had my laptop, and you can only imagine way back then, it was pretty heavy. I had a cup of coffee in my hand, and I was strolling down the hallway. I was ready. I had the right shoes on for 6 hours of class and instruction. And as I was focused and I was walking, a friend came up to me and said, "Boo." The laptop fell down, the coffee went this way. I was just horrified going to class. And so I got it all together. They helped me wipe up things. And do you know what happened to my relationship with that friend? What do you think? What do you think? One person, what do you think happened? I can hear some out there, can't hear. I married him. That's what I did. I married him. Yeah, that's what I did. So what I want to tell you is that in the last few years, the world has seen a heightened interest in the importance of creating more equitable, inclusive environments very intentionally. I believe that higher education is one of those platforms in which we have to lead in this equitable and inclusive journey. The philosopher and educator John Dewey said, "Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself," which only magnifies for me that knowledge attained through education helps open doors to all that is possible, including a world that lives and integrates an ethic of care, community, civility, accessibility, equity, and inclusion, whether you're physically here on campus or you're somewhere else, grounded in an ethic of care, diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. It's intrinsic to the education mission of CMU, crucial to ensuring the personal, the academic, and professional success of students, faculty, and staff. This is a time to enlarge and expand your thinking to create fair and innovative pathways for today and tomorrow. When I first came, I was nervous. I told you that this was my second year here. So when I first came, or the start of my second year, so when I first came, I told people about being very nervous of crossing bridges. I did everything I could to avoid them, but you all know how impossible that is in Pittsburgh. So 1 year later, I'm still not a fan of bridges, but I work hard every day to conquer that fear. Why? Because I truly believe being a part of the Tartan family is worth it. Not because CMU is perfect, but because it's the kind of place that cares. It's the kind of place that makes a difference, where you can grow, learn, work, and thrive and be successful. I care about those kinds of things. Additionally, as I said, or it's been implied or referred, I have a large number of colleagues who work very hard to support you. The author and management researcher, Jim Collins, in his book, Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, wrote, "Uncertainty is chronic, instability is permanent, disruption is common, and we can neither predict nor govern events. There will be no new normal. There will only be a continuous series of not normal episodes, defying prediction and unforeseen by most of us until they happen. It is those daily surprises, uncertainty, instability, disruption that I believe having a higher education experience in which DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging values are embraced, will help you develop your critical thinking and shape your theories. This is where CMU comes in. You are at the right place and at the right time. Yes, to intellectually think about who you want to stress and build those muscles, those intellectual muscles, and advance and expand your experiences to gain insight. Knowledge is power. So go out of your way to meet, to learn from others different from yourselves. It's empowering. Soak up everything there is to offer, and remember, as it has been said, have some fun, take care of yourselves, take care of others, and pursue what it really means to be in community with others. Yes, Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better, and then you do better. I'm hoping to see you doing better. Thank you for being a part of our family.
Thank you, Dr. Wanda Heading-Grant. I'd now like to welcome Gina Casalino to the podium. Gina is the Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. Please join me in welcoming Gina.
Hello, Carnegie Mellon, how are we? Okay, you gave the president something better than that. Hello, Carnegie Mellon graduate students, how are we today? Thank you. So I am Gina Casalino. I am your Dean of Students, a role that I hold very near and dear to my heart. I'm heading into my 21st year at Carnegie Mellon. I celebrated my 20th anniversary this last July. And what brings me to work every day is to look at a room like this one and to think about the power of possibility of what will be unleashed in the Carnegie Mellon story in the years ahead. I love that President Jahanian talked about the story of this institution and that you are an author in this story. And when I think about what is to come, it is because of what is in this very tent. So I'm so pleased to join my colleagues as the final member of our team here today to welcome you to your new academic home. I've been listening to the remarks and thinking about how much of it scaffolds up to some of what I want to share with you all today. As you embark upon, you've heard this I think 3 times, the world-class education, and it is so very true here at Carnegie Mellon, the world-class education that you are embarking upon as you push deeply to explore your field of study, where your colleagues and you will find real-world relevance to your work, where you will solve today's and tomorrow's needs of society, where you will contribute artistic innovation to the world. And you've heard from everybody who came up to this podium today that this world needs you more than ever in our history. And we are so thrilled that you are joining the Carnegie Mellon family. As your Dean of Students, I have the amazing privilege of leading a division of colleagues here at the university who are dedicated to helping you achieve your best Carnegie Mellon experience. Throughout the Division of Student Affairs, my colleagues and I build collaborative relationships across the university, from people like Provost Garrett, who you saw on film, Vice Provosts Stevenson and Heading Grant, across the faculty and staff in your academic departments, and with our Graduate Student Assembly colleagues, to best serve the needs of you, our student body. Together, we are collectively dedicated to the development of an engaged community where you will be supported in all facets of your experience while you do work that matters. And that engagement begins here, right at orientation, through the programs that are designed to help you establish a strong foundation as you launch your CMU education. You've heard it more than once. Please engage in the many in-person events and with the asynchronous Canvas materials. You've received emails about all of the information that we are bringing to you to help you thrive here at CMU. And importantly, build relationships with one another across this great university. Your orientation experiences are just the beginning of a transformative period of your lives and a transformative time for us at CMU. And I'd like to share just a couple thoughts about my ambitions for your experience here at CMU in the years ahead. You've heard some thoughts about what it takes to make a successful transition to graduate school and have an impact in the lab, the classroom, the studio, as a teacher on the stage and beyond. And I want to complement that with a couple of examples of ways your peers who have come before you have done just that. Certainly, we know that you're here to be the best and brightest in your chosen field, and we celebrate that. But it is not just the deep exploration that you will chart in your program of study that sets apart a Carnegie Mellon graduate education. To position you to be leaders in your chosen fields, in industry and in your communities, we know that the learning in the fully lived graduate experience is critical to your success. And what makes me so proud to serve as your Dean of Students is how we as a university position each and every one of you as a student at the center of that learning and development process. For example, I just want to shout out the incredible, exemplary graduate student governing body that you have in the Graduate Student Assembly. You heard President Jahanian refer to the impact of Divyansh himself and the role that he's played at the national level. at the local level and right here at Carnegie Mellon and in Pittsburgh. Their efforts, Divyansh and his colleagues, to be a voice for graduate students, to set policy at the national level, to develop community, it has been such a tremendous demonstration of the ways that you as a graduate student can take charge of your education and have an impact. I am so grateful to Divyansh, to all of his GSA colleagues, for demonstrating the value and the power of getting involved in the life of the university. We are a stronger place because of it, and I am so grateful. Divyansh, thank you for your unwavering efforts. We should clap for that. You heard Divyansh talk about the vibrant student organizations that exist at Carnegie Mellon, and in the last 10 or so years that I've been here at CMU, we have seen just a really wonderful growth of student organizations that are founded by graduate students for graduate students that cross boundaries at the institution. They create opportunities for students to convene around issues and topics that are important to you and find ways to make a difference in the community here at CMU and beyond. A quick example. A few years ago, the Tech for Society student organization came together. It was founded by a group of graduate students interested in deploying knowledge from their academic programs such as data science, technology, and policy analysis to support local organizations here in Pittsburgh doing social good. So one of the projects that Tech for Society tackled was building interactive visualizations of census and local rent data to support the case for more affordable housing right here in Pittsburgh's East Liberty neighborhood. Beyond our outstanding student organizations, we have students working at a grassroots level, effecting change where they see we need it most. Just this past spring, we recognized a group of 15 PhD students with the Graduate Student Service Award at our Celebration of Education event. This group of students came together and created an anti-bias course for doctoral students across the School of Computer Science. The Computer Science, Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion course, CS JEDI for short. We're very big on acronyms here if you haven't picked this up. The course was so successful and well received that the faculty of the School of Computer Science voted to make it a required course for all incoming doctoral students in their first year. A final example, you've heard a number of our speakers talk about health and well-being. So I'll share an example of a graduate student, Cassie Ng, who I think she would agree with me, and if I asked all of you, we would all say that we strive for a sense of belonging and personal well-being, that caring for ourselves and being in a community where we care for one another is something that we value. But I'm going to be really honest and say that there are days it's really hard to do all of those things here at CMU when I think about what's important to me in a given day with my professional commitments, my family commitments, and my commitment to taking good care of myself. Our drive to produce and to succeed we can be at the risk of thinking that that is more important than taking care of our wellness. But we know that if we take care of ourselves, and if we, as they say on the airlines, if we put the oxygen mask on first, we're going to be better at our craft. We will be better at helping others. We will be better at doing what we are here to do if we make sure we take care of our well-being, whatever well-being means to each of us. So an example, back to Cassie, a graduate student in psychology. In addition to her scholarly work and her service to her department, during the pandemic, she dedicated countless hours. She hosted more than 550, staggering to me, virtual fitness classes so that she could bring remote instruction to the masses here at Carnegie Mellon when we couldn't be in person with one another. And once we could get in person outdoors to safely host fitness classes, she was the first person to host a fitness class at our outdoor stage for fellow students, faculty, and staff. Over the course of this week, you will learn about the many resources we have to support your well-being at Carnegie Mellon. And I really encourage you, I challenge you to explore these offerings and make a plan before everything starts up and gets so intense that you plan on how you will embark upon your journey here with a commitment to self-care and to the genuine care of others in your program and in your community, just like Cassie made possible. So before I close, let me offer one more way to take full advantage of the learning opportunities at Carnegie Mellon. Here at CMU, we assemble one of the most diverse profiles I have found in higher education, with thousands of international graduate and undergraduate students enrolled on the Pittsburgh campus, hailing from countries that span the globe, which adds to a diverse mix of students from throughout the United States. You can learn what it means to be globally competent, to live out the ideals that Wanda talked about of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging when you just engage in a meaningful way, in a humble way, with your peers. So consider the ways that you will have an opportunity to shape your worldview, to challenge your assumptions and perspectives, to value the viewpoints of others even when you disagree. By merely engaging at a deep and meaningful level with your peers and with your faculty, you will gain tremendous insights that will not only enrich your own personal development, but it will help you to better understand the world around you and inform the ways that you will contribute to your communities as a leader in your field. The examples are so many. You are empowered, you have the resources and the support, and you clearly demonstrate the creativity and passion to make an impact. That's why you are here at Carnegie Mellon. We are thrilled you have joined the Tartan family, and we can't wait to get to know you in the days, weeks, and years ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gina. All right, graduate students, this is it. Again, take one more look around, look at the people around you. You don't usually get to see everybody in a room quite this big. As we've talked about, and you've heard in so many different ways, these are the people who are going to form your experiences here. And I want to highlight a couple of the words you've heard from Dr. Jahanian and Provost Garrett, Dr. Wanda Heading-Grant, Gina Castellino, Dean of Students, Divyansh Kanyak. We've heard about excellence and care. You've heard about brilliance, and you've heard about thoughtfulness. You've heard about balance and excitement. You've heard about belonging and inclusion, and you've heard about collaboration and community. And I think most of all, you've gotten a little bit of a view into what it is like and what a powerful experience a Carnegie Mellon education can provide. So, welcome. We are thrilled you're here, and I'm echoing the words of everyone else you've said. So, just one quick note, please do stick around here in this tent. There are more orientation activities taking place right here, including a GSA welcome and a CMU resources overview, if I have that correct. And I'll just say again, congratulations on the start of your exciting journey. And as we close our program, we're going to get a final welcome from CMU students who can't wait to meet you as the newest members of the Tartan community. Welcome.
I said I'm feeling good, yeah. Nothing can change this mood. You can have the same thing too, yeah. And let it just take over you. Here's what you gotta do to let it take over you. Clap your hands and feet. Jump right on your seat. So good. How good
Everyone, if I could just have your attention quickly. Hello. Thank you. My name's Holly Hippensteel, and I'll have an opportunity to address all of you in a moment, but I just wanted to underscore what Molly Steenson mentioned a moment ago, which is that we have 2 short sessions following this welcome here in the tent. First up will be of an overview and some more opportunity to learn about and hear from the Graduate Student Assembly. And then we will also do a session that we call in Canvas the Basics, and just trying to give a high-level, quick overview of information that we think is going to set you up to be successful as you head through the next couple of days and weeks. So I just encourage you, you can stretch your legs, but please don't leave. We would love the opportunity to continue to share some information with you here. We're going to do a quick transition and start that program. So if I could just also quickly remind you as we get set up here to please remember to keep your masks on in the tent. Other than when our speakers are at the podium, we do ask people to keep their masks on. And then if for any reason, just a quick safety update, if for any reason we were to need to evacuate the tent, there are safety exits on the side and in the rear of the tent. So we use the rear of the tent to enter typically, but if for some reason we were need to leave the tent quickly, there are additional exits on each side. Okay, so we were going to get started in just a minute, and we'll be here with the GSA overview and welcome. Thank you all very much.
Great. Oh,
Wow.
I mean, so, I guess you already know me. Other than being your GSA president and like, having this opportunity to interact with you, I want to share the stage over, I want to hand over the stage to Katie Jordan, who's our Vice President of External Affairs, who'll run the show here. I'm just gonna sit in the back so I don't bore you anymore.
All right, so feel free to keep filing in. I'm just going to walk through a little bit of what the Graduate Student Assembly is and how we can serve you. I also will give a quick overview of myself. My name is Katie. As Devyansh said, I'm a fourth-year PhD student in the Department of Engineering and Public Policy, and I'm the Vice President of External Affairs in the Graduate Student Assembly. So next slide, please. Okay. So our mission is to advocate for and support the diverse needs of you guys, so Carnegie Mellon master's and PhD students in your personal, professional, and public lives. Next slide, please. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about the structure of the Graduate Student Assembly. So we have the Executive Committee, which is made up of the President, Devyansh, and then 7 Vice Presidents, myself, and 6 others. These are elected in May by the graduate student representatives. There are 108 graduate student representative seats, and these come from the 50 different constituencies, so your individual departments. These are either elected or sometimes volunteered. It varies department to department. There are also GSA advocates. These are appointed by the executive committee. They include a master's student advocate, an international student advocate, and a partner and family advocate. We also have a program and events coordinator, so a full-time staff person to support the needs of the Graduate Student Assembly. Next slide, please. So what do we do? All right, so basically we're here to try and improve the lives of graduate students at Carnegie Mellon. So we spend over $500,000 per year to support programs to meet the needs of graduate students. These include anything from legal consultations, so every graduate student gets a free 20-minute session with a lawyer. We have childcare grants of up to $750 per semester to offset childcare costs that graduate students might have. We have a food pantry for nutritious food at no cost that graduate students are able to access. Next slide, please. We also do a lot of social events. In a typical year, we have anywhere from 70 to 80 or so events. We're still transitioning a little bit from COVID, but we're trying to have everything that we had pre-COVID in person again this year. These events range from a wine night at the zoo and aquarium to we go to sports games, we go on riverboat tours, lots of fun activities that you as graduate students will get to access. Next slide, please. We also have a lounge. If you get bored of working in the building where you work or your office, you can come hang out in the lounge, which is on the 3rd floor of the Cohen University Center. Next slide, please. We also do work for your academic and professional lives. We have conference funding as well as GUSH grants, which are for small research projects that might be outside of what you do for your formal research, as well as dissertation writing grants. Next slide, please. We also do a lot of lobbying. So something I didn't know when I started graduate school here is that Carnegie Mellon has actually the biggest presence in DC of pretty much any university in the country. So our graduate students travel to DC twice a year. We meet with staffers of elected officials to advocate for graduate student needs. We also work on op-eds. We write amicus briefs. So the Carnegie Mellon GSA is very involved in state, local, and federal government, which is a really cool aspect that can't be said at every university. Next slide. Okay. So how can you join the Graduate Student Assembly? As I mentioned before, we have 7 vice presidents. So those are external affairs, campus affairs, academic affairs, equity, diversity, and inclusion, graduate student life, finance, and internal affairs. Any of you can join any of these committees. You do not have to be a Graduate Student Assembly representative to be on a committee. You'll be getting emails in the coming weeks that have information on how to join these committees. So if you're interested in serving the community, in getting more involved, and seeing what we do, definitely come to one of the committee meetings. You can also join multiple committees. The time commitments are pretty much anything you want them to be. If you want to be really involved, you can. If you want to come to one meeting a semester, that's also great. In addition to being on a committee, you can serve your department by being a GSA rep. There's anywhere from 1 to 4 or 5 graduate student representatives in each department. And as I mentioned before, there's a different process for becoming a rep in each department. Sometimes there's elections, sometimes you volunteer for the position, but your individual department should contact you about that. All right, that's pretty much it for our formal slides. There's some ways for you to stay connected, but we'd love to take questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, you know, there's been a lot of one-way flow of information so far. We thought, why not like change the whole thing? So we're gonna we got 17 minutes here. We're gonna spend it doing an AMA. Ask us anything. As long as it's a reasonable question, we'll answer. Ask us anything about GSA. We do a lot of great events, as Katie mentioned. Some of our big events during orientation, for instance, we have a barbecue and an ice cream social. You should have received an email about those. Those are happening Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We are also going to be at the resource fair on Wednesday, so look out for those. We do a lot of signature events, like we do a fall formal at the Science Center. We take over the whole Science Center. It's just graduate students, a bunch of robots, a cool DJ, some magicians probably, and a lot of alcohol. Don't quote me on that. We do our spring signature event as a wine tasting held at the Pittsburgh Zoo. We take over the whole zoo. Yes, literally. We do ski trips. We do theater productions. One of the things I'm most excited about is the tickets we are gonna sell to you, like super cheap tickets to Hadestown in November. So any of my Broadway nerds here who would know what that show is, keep an eye out for the tickets. But and those are just a few examples of the kinds of events we do. There are like hundreds of such events that we organize a year. You will be getting a lot of emails from us. You'll be getting a welcome email from us. We are very, very excited to be advocating for you. You should join the committees to be a part of the whole process, and with everything that Katie has just shared, that I've added on. Shoot us questions now. It's your time to put us on the spot. Yes. Where are we located? Yes, our office is Cohen University Center 304. Our staff person, she is usually in the office. And the GSA lounge is also on the same floor. It's COC 327, I believe. I don't remember. But the markings are pretty clear. You should be able to follow directions to the graduate student lounge. The best thing about the graduate student lounge is it's ID card restricted, so there are no undergrads there. The best thing ever. You can't say that thing about any other place on campus. You can't say that about graduate student lounge. No undergrads.
Describe where the lounge is.
Where the lounge is, yes. So you take the elevators in the Cohen University Center to the 3rd floor. You exit the elevators, you turn right, and you go all the way down the hall. Just before the exit, there's another right, there's direction to the graduate student lounge. It's pretty obvious. And
especially once you're to the 3rd floor of the University Center, there is signage that'll direct you to it. Also, if you check out our website, it has the room number there. Sorry that neither of us can remember the room number, but if you follow the signs, it's pretty easy to find.
You know, it's like, it's the curse of coming up on your 6th year. You don't need to remember room numbers anymore. You just like recognize the rooms by the face of them. Or like, yeah, that's the ugliest room on campus, or like, that's the best room on campus, or, you know, which is the best room is the lounge, obviously. Other questions about grad life or anything?
First question. Best place to eat?
Best place to eat on campus?
I leave campus to eat. Where do you usually eat on campus?
What do you want to eat? Okay, I will tell you, the egg shop in Resnick is very well liked. It's amazing. I do not eat eggs, but from people who do, they love it. I personally am more of a coffee drinker on campus, not much of like buying food on campus, but the best coffee is, well, used to be in Gates, but the best coffee now is in Tepper. Millie's has partnered with Kelvin Coffee Labs. If you haven't been to Kelvin Coffee Labs' actual location in Pittsburgh, it's a little piece of LA right here. Like, you know, for those from LA or SoCal area generally, you would instantly notice that. But that's the best coffee on campus.
And there's ice cream, so it's pretty good.
What else? Anything about GSA? Anything about academic policies? Two things that I would share. Doctoral students should have received like all of their should have received full coverage for their healthcare premiums on their SIO already. If you have not yet, you should contact your department. Because starting this year as one of GSA's initiatives, healthcare premiums for doctoral students are 100% covered. So if that money has not shown up on your SIO finances, contact your departments. The other thing, you know, one of the things that has gone into effect starting this year is each doctoral student is eligible to take 2 weeks of paid time off. You know, of course, your advisor is more than willing to do, you know, your advisor can do more than that if they want, but every graduate student has a bare minimum of 2 weeks off that they can take. Every doctoral student, not every graduate student. For the master's students, keep an eye out. We've been working on some things on increasing the minimum wage for hourly workers. Some of those recommendations will come out soon. So, you know, we've been working on a lot of those. Katie's committee has been working on a lot of things at the national level. We are submitting our comment to we've been working with the Biden administration on the Title IX regulations, taking back the Betsy DeVos regulations and bringing in newer protections that the administration has introduced. We'll be submitting our comments, so we'll be doing some form of interaction with you soon on that. Any other questions? Come on, this is a quiet room. Are you all graduate students, really?
Question? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Favorite change from GSA?
Favorite change?
I can start.
Go ahead.
Mine is definitely that we now don't have to pay for our health insurance. I think that's huge. I mean, that's been the biggest change in kind of the GSA's role since I've been here, at least that directly impacts me. So I think it's great. Again, we can go further for perks for master's students, but that's been huge for me. And I don't know, this isn't really a change, but the events are always really fun. Like the wine night is so fun. It's literally the whole zoo. It's at night. There's like face painting, free wine, lots of hors d'oeuvres, a great time.
My favorite change, and we still have a couple of minutes left, but my favorite change here has been, of course, the healthcare premiums are one. Instituting minimum stipends at the university level. Before that, obviously, like we had a couple of issues. Certain students were not paid any stipends at all, doctoral students. So now we have minimum stipends of $27,000 a year for qualifying doctoral students. And I think that is a big, big shift in where the university is taking financial equity to. This one thing you will, since you're just coming in, you all will have a 14-week semester, which is one of the biggest shifts and one of the, my favorite things that we've done. It's an incredible thing. We used to have a 15-week semester. We have taken that, we've gone to a 14-week semester with a 1-week fall break, still 15 weeks overall, but like 14 weeks of instructions and a week of fall break for you to take time off, for you to go recharge yourself. I think that is a big, big thing that we've done that, will have a lot of impact amongst the graduate students.
There was one more question, right? Whoever you're pointing out.
Whoever it is, scream it out. Has the course content reduced for the 14 weeks? That's a very good question. I can't speak to that because that's a very faculty-specific question, and I haven't seen the syllabus for this fall. But I will say that last time around, there were like mixed approaches. Different faculty took different approaches. Some reduced the content overall, or some or spent lesser time per topic, or some still had the same content but made some of it optional, right? So that's a very faculty to faculty thing. Any other questions? No? Yes?
Is fall break the week of Thanksgiving?
No, it's a different.
Oh.
The fall break is not the week of Thanksgiving. It is separate. It's right after the 7th week. The Thanksgiving break is a 3-day break. That's not intended for you to take like the whole week off. So the fall break is a full week after the 7th week. So the 8th week of semester is a full week off. What's the best place on campus to study? I have not taken a course in like 4 years. I'm not. Oh, I go somewhere to write a thesis. There are 2 answers to that. On the record, I do a lot of my thesis work at coffee shops. Off the record, we can talk about it later. On campus, I would say I prefer to write outside when the weather is nice. It's like you only get 50 days of sun or something. No, I'm kidding. You get more than that, maybe 51. But enjoy the sun when it's out. Sit outside and write your thesis.
I like to just sit in the library. There are a fair amount of undergrads there, but I feel like if you go at off times, you can find a table there. I also like the Gates building. There's a lot of, there's a coffee shop there, and so I can go get coffee while I write. I also like to work outside. There's a little nook right behind Wien, between Wien and Hamburg, that has these curved benches and little rose gardens around it that I really like to work in. But there's lots of little spots.
Yeah. So if there are more questions, feel free to shoot us an email. It's gsa@cmu.edu. Very simple. Just gsa@cmu.edu. There are a lot of resources listed on our website, cmu.edu/gsa. Take a look at them. There's a lot you'll be hearing from us, and I am thrilled to welcome you once again.
Okay. Hello again. So thank you all who stayed to hear some more information that we want to share and in this idea of the basics. So as we thought about graduate orientation this year, one of the things we were really conscious of is you're going to get a lot of information over the coming weeks, and you probably already have. I know you've been getting emails from your department, you've been getting emails from us, you've been getting information about a Canvas course, websites are updated. So what we thought we would do is try to think today, what are some of the things that may be top of mind for you, and try to offer some information at a high level, but not feel like we have to get everything in today. So part of what I want to accomplish in this next 45 minutes or so is to say to all of you, you don't have to get all of the information today or in the next coming days. But one of the things I hope we can accomplish is where you can get your questions answered when they come up. In a week, in 2 weeks, in a couple of months, so that you don't forget where you could get some good information and who the people are here at the university who can help you. So with that said, I'm Holly Hippensteel. I'm an Associate Vice President in Student Affairs, and I work out of the Office of the Dean of Students. So my boss, Gina Casalino, was here during the welcome program and one of the final speakers, and she talked about this engaged student experience. So that's really the work that I do. But I've had the pleasure of leading up our graduate student orientation planning team this summer. And some of them are here in the tent, but most of them are running around campus getting things ready for the rest of the week. So I'll just say a special shout out to, I know, Desiree Cronick, who's here, Jamie Rossi, who was just here, and then our students who are featured on the front page of cmu.edu today. So 4 students who've been working diligently to get things ready for you all in your orientation. Check out that page. Okay. So I'm just checking in the back to see if we have our slides ready to go. I'll give it a second. And I'm going to need my glasses. All right, awesome, thanks. We can go ahead and move to the next slide already. Okay, so I mentioned the basics and the purpose for this afternoon. So what we're gonna try to cover is a little bit about how you can get connected, how you can stay informed and make sure you're getting good information, thinking about making yourself at home, but also sort of settling in, and then managing some things that may be those unexpected situations. Again, we're not gonna go through everything that you need to know right now, but just to kind of prime the pump and have you thinking about things that might be helpful in the future. I'm sorry for my P's. I didn't realize how dramatically I make a P sound until I'm standing in front of this microphone, so I'll try to rein it in a little bit. Okay, so this is our agenda. This is what we're gonna work on today, getting connected. All right, so next slide, please. Okay, so when we think about getting connected, we can go to the next slide. I wanna focus in on some people that you really need to make sure that you know, and if you haven't met them already or you don't know who they are, these are people that you're gonna wanna figure out who they are. So first and foremost are your advisors. You may have more than one advisor, and you'll quickly learn if you have more than one that probably one of them is more of your primary advisor and where you'll get your answers to your questions more often than the other. I'm sharing here a screenshot from SIO, or the Student Information Online System, and you can see in your contacts exactly who your several of your points of contact are, including who's listed as your advisor or advisors, who are listed as your student life contacts, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, as well as administrative contacts, or most often this is going to be who in the hub can help you if you have questions about your bill or financial aid, your account, those types of things. So you can see this information in SIO. If you haven't logged in already to your SIO account, I strongly encourage you to do that. There's lots of information in there that's accessible to you if you want to look at who your faculty are, or a variety of information. So you can see your advisors listed here in SIO. Another person that it may not be clear right now who they are is your program coordinator. This is probably the person in your academic program or department who sends you email most often. That's maybe your advisor, it may not be your advisor. For some of you, that could be the same person, but for many of you, it won't be the same person. So this is a person who works in your department or program who kind of makes things happen. They may be the person who does reimbursements if there's something that the department owes you money for. They process paperwork. If you're changing a course and your advisor signs off on something, it could be the program coordinator. That's the person that actually makes the change happen. So you definitely want to know who your program coordinator is. Department heads, you probably won't have a lot of interaction with initially, but eventually this is somebody that you're going to want to know who they are, and these are great recommendations for you. So I strongly encourage you to figure out who your department heads and associate deans are. In most of the colleges, there's an associate dean for graduate students, so that's an associate dean you definitely want to know. And there are also associate deans for diversity, equity, and inclusion, so I encourage you to know who that person is as well. Lastly, I'll just highlight administrative liaisons, so you can see that here there's both a student life and an administrative liaison. The student life liaison is somebody who works in student affairs like myself, who is assigned to each of the academic colleges to help when there are general issues that come up that a student isn't otherwise sure about where they're supposed to go. Or maybe you have a question about working with your advisor, or you're trying to get information about something that you're supposed to do in your department, but it feels a little awkward or uncomfortable for you to ask that question of your academic partners in your department or college, and you're looking for someone else to talk to or sort of troubleshoot with before you go to your advisor. So your student life liaison is someone that you can use in that capacity. Just someone outside of your college or department, but who understands your college and department and can answer questions for you. So that's who these folks are. Go ahead, next slide. So staying informed, here's another idea, or some things I want you all to think about. As I mentioned, you're probably already getting a lot of information, and a lot of information is going to continue to come your way. So I strongly encourage you to read your email. And I know that I say that, and you all might be thinking, like, of course I'm going to read my email, but I know that you won't, and I know that you're not, because we're already sending you information that you need in your email, and you're not responding. So please make sure that you're reading your andrew@cmu.edu email, and you will get messages from the university in that account. You'll get them from your department D lists. We send out a weekly email newsletter to all graduate students with events and information and updates in there. So I strongly encourage you to look for that Grad Ed weekly newsletter. There's also a university newsletter called The Piper, and that has a lot of really great information, especially about events, but also fun and interesting things that are happening that are newsworthy, like when the president and Divyansh were at the White House. That was a story that ran in The Piper. So a way to stay connected and informed with what's going on. You heard about following at CMU GSA on Twitter or on Instagram as a way to stay connected to events. The university also has a social media presence that they use the handle Life at CMU. So that's a great way to learn about events and things that are happening generally at the university. from a non-academic standpoint. Is there a concert happening? Is there a lecture that you might be interested in? Life at CMU is a great way to find that out. But there's also a university events calendar, so cmu.edu/events is a place that you can always go and look and check the events calendar. That might be something that you want to bookmark. What I put on the image on this slide is a landing page in the Student Affairs website that has a variety of newsletters that you can sign up for. So if you know already that you're interested in getting information about fitness opportunities, there's a specific newsletter that's about fitness opportunities. So the weekly newsletter will have a whole bunch of information in it, and it'll be curated by sections and areas of interest. But if you know you don't want to miss getting any information from CAPS, which is our counseling and psychological services, or you don't want to miss information that comes from the Be Well newsletter, you can go on and sign up for those specifically. So I put the website on there on this slide for that, and this information will get uploaded to Canvas, so you can access this information at a later date. But if you just search Life at CMU on the CMU webpage, you can access that information as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is where this fun stuff, all right? So we've been talking about how do you stay connected, how do you get information, but we also want to make sure that you're making yourself at home. So as you learn about Pittsburgh, I think that sometimes students who are new to the area, and most of you are new to the area and are in Pittsburgh for the first time, I think the initial impressions are either super, super positive or super, super not positive. And there's not a lot in the middle. So I'm going to encourage you to try to keep an open mind about Pittsburgh and learn the city. One of the things that's a difficulty about Pittsburgh is that it's not always the easiest to navigate. Our highways, if you're driving around the city, our highways are a little frightening. There are a lot of bridges, as Wanda Heading-Grant mentioned earlier. She doesn't like bridges. So there are a lot of bridges, and people who've lived in Pittsburgh for a long time tend to get kind of compartmentalized to the area of the city that they have lived in most, and they don't tend to go to other areas in the city. So we are located in the East End of Pittsburgh. We're on the east side of the city. And so when you talk to people who live in the East End, most of what they're going to tell you to do, places you should eat, things you should do for fun, are going to be located in the East End of the city. It's just sort of habit. But there are a lot of great things that are happening all over the city, and I strongly encourage you to not be afraid to go downtown, to cross bridges and go to the south side or to go to the north side. That there are over 90 neighborhoods in the city of Pittsburgh, and each neighborhood kind of has its own unique vibe, and a lot of times that's because the neighborhoods were settled initially by different ethnic groups. And so restaurants and cultural centers or areas of interest, art galleries, may be particularly focused in certain ethnicities. So it's very much worth it to get out and explore and see everything that Pittsburgh has to offer, even though sometimes we can get a little bit focused on the East End and these East End neighborhoods. Lots of students in this area. There are more than 10 colleges and universities in Pittsburgh. So in addition to Carnegie Mellon, other major research universities like the University of Pittsburgh and Duquesne University, Robert Morris, and like I said, over 10 universities in the Pittsburgh area. And there is an opportunity for students in those 10 institutions to cross-register and take courses at the other universities. So here in Pittsburgh, and at Carnegie Mellon, we like acronyms. The Pittsburgh schools are called the Peachy schools, the Pittsburgh Council of Higher Education, so PCHE. I don't know why that's peachy, but it just has become that. So you can, if you're interested in taking a course at one of the other universities in the area, you can look into that cross-registration. That's probably something that your administrative hub liaison would be able to help you with. And you may sometimes have students in your courses that are here taking classes, especially from the University of Pittsburgh. That's pretty common. Okay, So I do want to just mention a couple of things, resources that might be helpful to you. Many of you at this point probably have already signed a lease for a place to live, but some of you may still be looking, and the university does offer an online resource called the Off-Campus Housing Marketplace. That's an area where you can look for apartments to rent or rooms in a house or places to sublet. You can post that you're looking for a roommate. There are people on there right now looking for roommates. So if you haven't found a place that you want to be, you can you can just search Off-Campus Housing Marketplace, again, on the CMU website, and that's a location. You know that those are landlords that have reached out to the university in order to post information on that website. We do provide an opportunity for students to let us know if someone who's posting through that website is problematic or a difficult landlord. You can report that information there and basically let other students know, hey, I had a hard time with this landlord. And there are additional resources available at the marketplace, including defining kind of common terms that you might see in a lease if you're signing a lease, things you might want to watch out for, and click links to information that's provided by the legal consultation services that Divyansh mentioned earlier that are provided from GSA. So I would say landlord-tenant disputes are probably the most common reason why students reach out to the legal consultation services that are available. You can sign up for a 20-minute appointment, as was referenced, and those landlord-tenant disagreements or disputes are at the top of the list of questions that students have. So please read any lease agreements that you're looking to sign carefully, understand what's expected of you and what your landlord is kind of on the hook for as far as that relationship is concerned. It's always something that we're encouraging students to pay particular attention to. Okay. So I talked to you before about the fact that I think driving around Pittsburgh can sometimes be a little bit complicated. We strongly encourage you to use the public transportation system in Pittsburgh, and your ID card, your CMU ID card, is a bus pass for the Pittsburgh public transportation system. So right now that system is called PAT, the Port Authority Transit. It's undergoing a name change, and it will be rebranded during your time at CMU to become PRT, I think Pittsburgh Rapid Transit. I can't remember what it stands for, but you'll notice that rebranding happening during your time here. You can use your ID card to ride the bus. Maybe some of you have done that already. There's a little bit of a train system in Pittsburgh. It's called the T. Mostly the T runs downtown and into the southern suburbs of Pittsburgh, but it does go from downtown to the stadiums on the North Shore. So the professional sports stadiums that are on the North Shore have T stops. But that sometimes people wonder, like, where is the subway? Is there a subway? Technically, yes, we have a subway system, but it's pretty limited unless you live in the southern part of the city. And then you can take the T. Your card works on the T in addition to the, I'll have you go back. Sorry. In addition to the bus. And there's also the inclines. Have any of you noticed the inclines that go up Mount Washington? Yes, they look like escalators that go up the side of Mount Washington. Those are considered public transportation in Pittsburgh as well. So they were initially constructed to bring steel workers down from Mount Washington down to the mills, and they are public transportation. So you can use your card to ride the incline as well, and I strongly encourage you to do that. The views from Mount Washington are the best of the city, so you need to take the bus over to the Station Square and take the incline up to Mount Washington so you can get a great picture of the city like the one that's on the slide. Okay, there are a couple of other transportation services that are available to you as students. The bus is a great way to travel to and from campus. Lots of students also bike or walk to campus. I would let you know that the afternoon times getting on the bus here during the regular school year, the buses get very full. And the way that the bus transportation runs in Pittsburgh, the buses kind of run downtown and then they run from downtown out. So on the way downtown, Carnegie Mellon is some of the first stops, right? So if you were getting on the bus and you were heading downtown, you have a pretty good shot of getting on the bus. But you can imagine that in the afternoon or in the early evening, when everyone downtown is looking to go home and come back out east, that those buses fill up slowly as it gets to CMU. And by the time the buses get here, often they're full or they're getting full. So it's not uncommon to walk down to near where the welcome tent was set up today and see dozens of people waiting for a bus, and the bus pulls up and it can only fit maybe 5 or 6 people before it's full again. So I say that to you because I encourage you to think about your afternoon travel times when you look to leave campus, and if the bus is your primary mode of transportation, to think about, could you leave 15 minutes earlier or could you leave 15 minutes later, and you may have a better chance of getting on a bus instead of it being so full. So just something to keep in mind. But the university also runs some supplemental transportation, including shuttles that are like a bus system. They have standard stops that are identified, and there's a variety of shuttle routes that are identified as well. So if you live within kind of a couple miles of the campus, it's possible that you could live just as convenient to a shuttle stop as you do to a PAT bus stop. And you may want to think about using a Carnegie Mellon shuttle as your transportation to and from campus rather than the Pittsburgh public transportation, especially at those high peak times when you might not otherwise get a seat. So the shuttles, there's a ride tracker app that you can download on your phone. The shuttle information is available in the Canvas course, so you can get the information about the app in there, and you can learn more about the routes and see exactly where the shuttles run. But that's one of the advantages of being here this week, is to really think about what's the best way for me to get from home to campus and back, and know that your travel to campus could be very different than your travel from campus as classes get started and more students come to campus. So keep that in mind. I don't know that I have navigating campus on this slide, but I guess the biggest thing I would tell you is that we have an interesting campus for new people to get accustomed to, because some of the buildings, and when you walk into the building, from the quote-unquote ground level, you may realize that you're actually on the 5th floor of a building. If you've walked into Wien Hall from this side of campus, for example, you'll notice that you're on the 5th floor, not on the 1st floor. And that's confusing unless you look out the back of the building. If you walk through Wien on 5th floor and you look out that back window, you'll realize, oh yeah, I'm 5 floors up. Because our campus is built into hillsides on both sides, and so the buildings that might be what is ground level on the interior of the campus might actually be a pretty steep hill on the outside of campus. So pay attention to room numbers, and what floor you're on. Don't expect that just because you walk in on what is the ground floor that you're on the 1st floor. Look at the room numbers, check when you get on the elevator where you are. And take the time this week before classes get started or before you need to be somewhere to start to map out what might be a really good route for you inside of buildings. One of the things I'll encourage you to do is to find students who have been here for a semester or longer and ask them the best way to get around your particular building, because I can almost guarantee you that there are cut-throughs and special entrances and secret passageways and really interesting routes of how you could start in Baker Hall, for example, and walk the whole way through campus, through all of the buildings without ever going outside. And when it's 10 degrees Fahrenheit and freezing rain, you will want to know how to walk from one building to the next building without having to go outside. But sometimes those routes aren't particularly easy to navigate, and it takes a tour guide to figure them out. So Just know that they exist. There's lots of bridges and connectors and tunnels that will take you through the building so you don't have to go outside. But that'll be something that you can ask someone who's a semester or a year ahead of you in your program. Okay, so next slide, please. I did mention that the campus is a little bit interesting to navigate, and I wanted to do a historical sidebar here really quickly, because I'm kind of a history nerd, and I like Carnegie Mellon history in particular. So our campus was built into these hillsides and in this sort of strange area of what was not really Pittsburgh at the time the campus was built. And so I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge that the founder of Carnegie Mellon, what is today Carnegie Mellon University, at the time was Carnegie Technical Schools, is the guy up here on this slide, Andrew Carnegie, right? So Andrew Carnegie is kind of a controversial figure in this area of, in Western Pennsylvania. People love and hate Andrew Carnegie. He made a lot of money and became very wealthy and gave a lot of money back to this region. But the way that he made the money and the ways that the workers who worked for him were treated while he was becoming mega wealthy is part of the reason why he's a controversial figure. So I think it's important to acknowledge where we come from, right? But in 1900, when Andrew Carnegie was already one of the wealthiest people in the world, he sold Carnegie Steel to J.P. Morgan and became one of the wealthiest people in the world. He said that he had this idea. He wanted to found a technical school in Pittsburgh because he wanted to be able to educate the sons and daughters of those who had worked for him so hard for him for so many years. Up until this point, Carnegie had given money for libraries and music halls and museums, but he had not founded a school, an educational institution. So this was a really big deal. And that gift for $1 million is the gift that founded the Carnegie Technical Schools. Those schools have evolved and transformed over the years and become Carnegie Mellon University today. But that gift in 1900, when Carnegie made that promise, he said, I can assure you that my heart is in the work. Like, I'm founding this school, and I can assure you that this is sort of a passion project, was the point that he was trying to make. And he made that emphasis because he was taking a lot of critique at the time about how he was giving away his money, and it must be because he felt guilty. And he was trying to convey that education was something that was really, really important to him. So that motto, my heart is in the work, is still our motto. I'd like for folks to know where it came from. They are the words of Andrew Carnegie, and they were meant to convey his belief that education is foundational in helping to shape someone's future. Okay, so as you are looking to get settled in, I just want to acknowledge a couple of additional resources that you may not necessarily be thinking about right away. One is a variety of family and partner resources. So if any of you are coming with a domestic partner or a spouse or children, that there is information in the Canvas course about family resources and specifically about domestic partner benefits for significant others where you may not yet be married or you may not intend to marry, but maybe you want that individual to be able to access your health insurance benefits or other things. So know that that information is there. I mentioned your ID card as being accessible to the public transportation, but your ID card at Carnegie Mellon is also what we call an arts pass. So it gets you admission into the Museum of Natural History, the Museum of Art, the Andy Warhol Museum, the Mattress Factory, Phipps Conservatory, the Heinz History Center. So a lot of really signature Pittsburgh cultural venues are accessible to you free of charge with your ID card. I strongly encourage you to take advantage of that resource. People were asking questions before about where do you like to study, and everyone keeps encouraging you all to sort of decompress. Phipps Conservatory is a short walk across the hill over here. So if you're looking for something to do for 30 minutes to just decompress, to walk across the hill and go to Phipps, walk around, see some flowers, see the birds, get a different kind of some natural surroundings, and you can do that with your ID card. So the other thing is, I say it's free to you, but remember that you're paying tuition, right? And you're paying fees. So you've paid for these benefits, and you should use them. So just know that that ID card can get you into a lot of really great places, and you should definitely check them out. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there's employment opportunities on campus for all of you, so I encourage you to check out Handshake, which is the online database where employers, on-campus employers, post jobs for students. You'll also see internships postings and professional jobs posted on Handshake, but there's a category for on-campus employment too. So if you're looking to work a little bit on campus and maybe make some money, check out Handshake and look for some campus employment opportunities. There's some really great stuff on there. Okay, I've been talking for a long time, so I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to introduce you all to a good friend and colleague of mine, Joe Beeman, who's going to come up and talk about dining on campus. So we had some questions earlier about campus dining, and so he's the best person to talk with you about that, and he also has a really fun announcement to make. So that's my little teaser, but here's Joe.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you, Dr. Oh, perfect. All right, thank you, Dr. Hippensteel. As Holly mentioned, so this will be the only question that I ask for a raise of hands. How many people in this room are from outside of the Pittsburgh region? Fantastic. So I'm here to talk about food. That's what we do. I'm Joe Beeman. I'm the Director of Dining Services at Carnegie Mellon. Really excited to be able to speak a little bit about our program. But before I get into our program, I also want to talk to you a little bit about what Holly had said. Go downtown, go to the Strip District. Pittsburgh is an incredible food city. It's one of the fastest, best growing food cities in the United States, and we're super excited for you to kind of explore and try menus from all over the world, as Pittsburgh does a really good job at catering to all of our needs. So let's get into Carnegie Mellon Dining University. If I could have the next slide, please. Perfect. Great. Next slide, please. All right. So Carnegie Mellon Dining is a really unique program. We call ourselves a uniquely independent polyoperational model. So most universities that you go to have, one or two dining partners. Maybe one dining partner oversees the entirety of campus. But here at Carnegie Mellon, we're excited about our independent vendors. We have 8 different small independent vendors throughout campus who own 1 or 2 locations, and this is what they do for their careers. This is unique because we invite all of these independent small businesses to be a part of our one program. Go ahead on the next slide, please. Menu diversity is one of the strengths that we have. As you look at our 27, I believe about to be 28, different dining locations that we have across campus, we have all different types of menu styles, we have all different types of cultural menus that are represented, and we want you to try all of them. Some of our partners have been here for a long time. When I look at some of these, El Gallo de Oro has been on campus. This is their 26th year that they'll be a part of Carnegie Mellon University. So make sure that you're trying foods from all over the world, things that are represented here at CMU. It's a big part of our program. If we could have the next slide, please. Experience our innovative coffee program. Do we have coffee? Oh, I said I wouldn't ask for another raise of hands, but here we go. Coffee drinkers out here? Yeah, so one of the great things about our program is we don't just have one brand of coffee that's throughout the program. We've got all these independent coffee brewers, local coffee roasters who engage throughout Carnegie Mellon's dining venues. La Prima, one of the partners that you see here, They've been at Carnegie Mellon University for 32 years. DeFair Coffee is our newest partner. In fact, they have not even yet opened their doors. They'll be at the Hunt Library at the Maggie Murph Cafe, and they'll be opening in the next 2 weeks. So make sure that if you're a coffee fan, I know we talked a little bit about, where do I want to study? Where do I want to go? Make our coffee program a part of your experience here. We've got local coffees that are roasted. We've got great teas. We've got great bubble teas at 3 different locations coming to campus. So our beverage program is really something that we're excited about. Next slide, please. Next slide. Perfect. So I just listed a couple of our partners in this space. We are unique in that we actually are going to, starting this fall, have 2 VOD certified kosher locations, both located in Resnick at the Pavilion. So Chef Judah Cohen, the owner of Elegant Edge, has had tahini at Carnegie Mellon for the last 3 years. It has been really successful. So Chef is opening another location on campus, and so the Edge is going to be our newest place on campus. We're going to have that open in 2 weeks as well in the Tartan Pavilion. This really gives a great opportunity for not only our kosher keeping students, but great Mediterranean food that anybody can enjoy. So we'd invite you to come in, try these locations. Also, as far as our halal friendly dining concepts, we have a number of locations that serve halal certified meats. We talked a little bit about El Gallo earlier on. Everything that's there is halal certified. We've got a concept at the Tepper School of Business called Palm and Honey, another halal certified location. Many of our locations also have halal upon request. So if you'd like to have halal meats, please make sure you're asking any of our partners, and they'd be happy to accommodate you. Next slide, please. Finally, small business is the backbone of our program. Many people in this room came to Carnegie Mellon because you want to start your own business. You're innovators yourself. You're part of the educational model. And that's what we seek to be in our dining program. When you think about, hey, where can I go because I don't want to go somewhere corporate. I want to go support somewhere small, somewhere that matters, somewhere that I'm meaningful to them. And that's what we have. Our program has all of these different partners scattered throughout our campus. It's the backbone of what we do. In fact, when we talked about DeFair earlier, one of the best things about DeFair opening in the Hunt Library is Matt and Vanessa Mariotti, the owners. Matt Mariotti was a graduate of Tepper School of Business, came back, got his MBA here. We reached out last year and he said, Joe, we'd really love to be a part of this program. I spent years here getting my master's. I knew that I always wanted to own my own business. I've successfully opened my own business, and I can't wait to share that with the CMU crew so that they can see what my path has been. I hope that we're looking, I imagine I'm looking at a group full of innovators right now, master's students, PhD students who are going to do great things, who are going to be their own boss, who are going to start their own businesses. And that's what we have. That's what our dining program is here, is it's emblematic of exactly what you came to CMU to do. So we ask you, give it a try. Let me talk about just a couple of other things that I think are really important. Local sourcing, responsible procurement, right? These are things that are really important to a lot of us. If you go throughout our program, you're going to see a number of our partners have local breads that are delivered daily that come from the Pittsburgh area. We're part of the PA Preferred program, where we've got products that are either grown or produced here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, all over the Commonwealth. That's a big part of what we do. So we also have some kind of cool things that we do, right? We're reintroducing our music program into our dining facilities. So we're saying, hey, how can we get more live music in some of our dining facilities? So you're going to see some updates. The Underground, one of our, the UG you see there, one of our flagship locations across campus, is a great place to go and late night and hang out. If you like music, if you like the live and active culture, it's a great place to go. Grubhub, I'm going to touch just real quickly on Grubhub. We have a mobile ordering solution So Grubhub Campus is something that any one of you can just acclimate to. If you go and make CMU your home on Grubhub, if you're sitting in your classes and you don't want to wait for your food, go ahead and order it on Grubhub. Then you can go and pick it up. It's ready for you. You don't have to worry about the wait. So just two more things I do want to cover, right? Costs. You know, the cost of food is always a big thing, right? So if you have questions about what's on the menu and what you can get, please ask. But we also have a lot of areas that have graduate-friendly cost structures. The Egg Shop, one of our newest locations on campus, is at Resnick. They've got great entree sandwiches in the $5, $6 range. So does La Prima. Our new location called Revolution Noodle is going to be both a bao bun. It's a new concept that's got both freshly made steamed bao buns as well as our noodle bowls. And so they also have items that are very graduate student friendly for pricing. So the one thing I did want to talk to you about that Holly pointed out earlier is we're really excited. And so, you know, GSA, Dr. Hippensteel and I, we've been in contact about how can we better engage our graduate students when they're new on campus to introduce them to our dining program. So we're excited to share with you that on Sunday, August 28th, everyone in this room will have $10 in the Dine Extra that automatically goes to the ID cards that Holly talked about that gets you into FIPS, that gets you, all over town, gets you on the bus. So we're putting the $10 in Dine Extra on your cards so that you can go complimentary, try our program. Try a cup of coffee. Millie's Ice Cream is one of the best ice cream places in town. It's at the Tepper School of Business. So feel free to use that there. Any one of our locations, you can use this $10. So we're really excited to offer this to you to say, hey, give us a try. Come utilize, our program. Come visit one of these small independent restaurants. So welcome to Pittsburgh. We're excited to see you here, and we're excited to have you be a part of the dining program. If anybody is interested, we have a dining student advisory council that meets monthly. I'm going to be over here for the next 10 minutes or so. If you'd like to be a member of the Dining Student Advisory Council, please come talk to me. We'll get you signed up. It's a great opportunity for you to give us recommendations about how we can get better, share some of the success stories, and be a part of the dining program here at CMU. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You can put the next slide. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for being here and for your enthusiasm. I always know when you're going to speak to students that you'll do so with energy, and I know I need that at this point in the day. But I'm also so thrilled about this partnership and the $10 in Dine Extra. I hope that you all will use that as a way to explore the campus and see what might become your favorite place to grab lunch between classes, or how you will sort of traverse campus dining. So please know that that's there so that you will explore and find your spot that you might recommend to others. So thank you so much for being here. The last little portion that we're going to do in the basics is what I talked to you before about managing the unexpected. There's a couple things I want to reference, and then I'm going to turn things over to another colleague who's here from our university police department to talk a little bit about safety and safety awareness. So before I turn things over to Sergeant Mark and he talks a little bit about safety, let me just once again reinforce some of those resources I mentioned earlier from your college liaison, and also talk about student support resource coordinators. So another position in the Office of the Dean, I just realized I left my mask on, another position in the Office of the Dean of Students are these individuals called student support resource coordinators, and they're there and accessible really 24 hours a day when there are crises or emergencies. You don't need to remember who they are or how to access them other than to know that the Office of the Dean is the place where we're ready to receive concerns that may come up in those sort of unexpected times. We have access to emergency funding support that we can make available to you as grants. We can't pay your tuition, but if something comes up in your life, you get a flat tire and you have no way to replace it, there's an emergency maybe at home and you need to travel, but you don't have the funds set aside to be able to make that kind of trip. Come to us in the Office of the Dean of Students, reach out to us, look for this information about emergency funding, and know that we're there because we want to try to support whatever your needs are. The legal consultations have come up multiple times, but that is a program that's also housed on the Office of the Dean webpage. And we haven't specifically mentioned so much the CMU pantry. I think it was referenced in the GSA overview earlier, but we do have a food pantry, a fully functioning food pantry here on campus. So if you find yourself in need, especially of staples, food staples to help to sort of make a bridge for you or get you through a time until you get your next paycheck, please know that the CMU pantry is here and you can go through and shop and pick up goods that you need for yourself free of charge. So those are just some of those things to be thinking about. Again, you don't have to remember all the specifics at this point, but just know that if there's something that comes up in your time at CMU that is in that sort of unexpected space, that we try to gather those resources in the Office of the Dean of Students, and the folks in Student Affairs are here to provide support as needed. So with that, I think I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Sergeant Mark Villasenor. I know we're going to do a quick change of slides. There's another presentation that are the slides that he will use to guide his talk. But thank you all for your attention. I'll come back up at the end in case there are any questions. But at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Sergeant Mark.
Thank you, Holly. Good afternoon.
You'll see, once your slides are up, you'll see them down here.
Perfect. Thank you, Holly. Good afternoon. Any Filipinos out there? Show of hands. No Filipinos. Good afternoon. My name is Sergeant Mark. I work for the Carnegie Mellon University Police Department. I've been a police officer for about 14 years now. Prior to coming to CMU, I ran the Community Relations Unit over at the University of Pittsburgh. Just turned 51 years old actually this summer, so I got 9 more years in this crazy profession. Slides, please. Well, they're finding in my slides. I'm just here to talk to you today about safety. Most of you are international. First time in Pittsburgh, show of hands. I'm a little late to the show. Welcome, welcome to Pittsburgh. I was born and raised here in Pittsburgh. What a wonderful city. I'll just give it a minute here. Is everybody familiar with the Carnegie Mellon Police Department? Show of hands. Okay. I'm just here basically to talk about the overview about the police department, some safety tips, scams, and what you guys can do to make yourself safe here on campus. Think of us as 7-Eleven. We're here 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year, 7 days a week. We're here on every day that ends in a Y, so that's basically every day. Holidays, spring, summer, you name it, we're here. Some of the service that we have is Community Resource Unit that I run with Officer Wade. Unfortunately, Officer Wade couldn't make it here with me today. He was mandated to work midnight shift, and we had a training this morning, so I had to let him go because he was a little bit tired. Some of the things that we have here at the Carnegie Mellon Police Department is Community Resource Unit. We have investigations. We have a motorcycle unit, a bicycle unit, investigations unit. Most of you guys will see us here on campus. Be free to stop us, say hello. We're out there to help you. We're out there to help the CMU community. Next slide, please. What we have is about 75 officers, security officers, and dispatchers that work here at Carnegie Mellon. So we're pretty much a big police department. Again, we have 31 police officers, 39 security officers, and 6 dispatchers. So we are pretty well out there. You're going to see us out there and about. Next. When on campus, if everybody wants to remember these numbers, we always say to call 911. That is fantastic. Everybody remembers to call 911 in the case of an emergency. But when you're on campus, please put this in your phone. I'll give everybody a minute, but it's basically 412-268-2323. Again, we can arrive a lot faster because we have our own dispatchers, our own communications center. It's a lot quicker sometimes to call us than 911. Again, if you're off campus, call 911, but you're on campus, call that number, the 2323 number. Again, it's very important to have that number. Next, please. We all want to make responsible decisions when we're here on campus. Again, the laws apply in the state of Pennsylvania that is 21 years of age or older to drink, consume, or purchase alcohol. Not too sure where everybody might remember too that, again, alcohol is 21 years of age and there's no drugs permitted on campus. No means no. So we have a zero tolerance when it comes to underage drinking and also for drugs on campus. Next, please. Theft prevention. When you're off campus, when you're even on campus, the things that you want to do is lock and secure your doors. We always say to turn on your lights when you live off campus, to make sure that you're visible too with these lights on, so when somebody does look to see if you're home, at least it will be a deterrent to see if somebody's home, and we ask you to turn on your lights. The basics for your scooters and bicycles. Here on campus, it's not safe to have a bike that's not chained up to a cable lock or a U-lock. We highly recommend a U-lock because it's harder to cut. Do we have anybody that rides a bicycle? Everybody has a cable lock. That we strongly suggest that you use a U-lock. A U-lock is typically harder to go ahead and steal compared to a cable lock because a lot of thieves out there have a bolt cutter and they can go ahead and cut the chain and go ahead and take your bicycle. Situational awareness that we try to have for our students, faculty, and staff. Be aware of your surroundings. I know that nowadays that we like to tend to look at our phones. We like to have our headphones in. When we're walking down the street with our head down, you can become a target of or a victim of a crime because you're not paying attention. Be alert, be aware, have situational awareness of your surroundings, especially late at night. Late at night, if you're walking home from your studies, wherever you're coming from, make sure you use the buddy system. I know it's basic. I know we used it since growing up, but have a friend, have a colleague, have a coworker. Make sure you guys walk in groups. It's very basic, but that's what we ask for. Never leave your personal belongings unattended. We say this every year, but we get reports every year that students have left their laptops, their cell phones, their textbooks here on campus, wherever they're studying. I know you cannot keep on saying, hey, take and secure your personal belongings, because every year we have to take a report on it. For somebody that went to the bathroom for 5 minutes, somebody that went to lunch, they went to dinner, went out somewhere and left their personal belongings here on campus, anywhere they're studying, anywhere they're eating at. Are you guys going to get it back? Slim to none, and I hate to sugarcoat it. So that's why I'm telling everybody, each and one of you, to lock up, secure your valuables when you're studying or anywhere on campus. Next, please. As everybody's aware that we have over 250 emergency light phones. They're called the blue lights. A show of hands, everybody is aware of the blue lights. They've seen it around campus. They've seen it around buildings. Again, those are an emergency call button. When you press that button, you will be contacted, in touch with a police dispatcher. That dispatcher will ask you what your emergency is. A police officer has to respond to each and every time that button is pressed, because it could be a call for help or it could be just a joke. And please, there's many times that we had to respond because students got drunk on campus, decided to play a joke, and press the button. But again, it's nothing to be playing around with. It's for emergency uses only. These programs are run by CMU's Enterprise Risk Management. It's the Rave Guardian. It's an app that you guys can download. It has resources on it, numbers that you can reach for just in case if you need help. Suicide Prevention Hotline, Western Psych, if you want to talk to somebody. Another good feature on there is a timer. Say that you're leaving your apartment on 123 Main Street and you're coming here to campus. You type in just say the Cohen University Center, and then you go ahead and say I will arrive in about 10 minutes. You set the timer, you contact that person that you want to be contacted, and if you don't arrive within 10 minutes, that will alert that person that you did not arrive at your location that you said that you will be at. So again, please get on there. It's a very good app to have on your phone. Some of the things that we have is CMU Alert. CMU Alert is good. It's you either get a text message or an email saying if there's an emergency here on campus, you will be alerted to what that emergency is. Next, please. Scam alerts. Scam alerts is a big thing here on campus, and I hate to downplay it. Some of the things that are typical scams is law enforcement or the IRS. These are individuals that will contact you through email, or they will call you saying they are a police officer, a FBI agent, a IRS agent, and saying that you will be deported if you will not pay a certain amount of money. Usually this way of sending them money is through Western Union, through PayPal, through Venmo, through gift cards, which is really big. It's something important because no federal officer, no police officer will actually call you by phone or contact you. They would definitely come to your house if they really wanted to see you. When I was at the University of Pittsburgh, we had a case of a student that was from overseas, that they scammed her for over $75,000 and kept on saying to her, we know who your family is and we're going to deport them if you do not pay. There's information about each and every one of you out there, unfortunately, because we leave a footprint on the website, on the internet. So they can get basic information about you, your date of birth, and sometimes social security number. Some of the other scams we've seen, and I hate to say this, is social media. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Tinder, we're on date sites. You might befriend somebody, male or female. You might think this is great because, hey, you're over here, you get lonely. They ask you to send nude pictures of yourself. You do that, and then they extort money from you. They say, hey, we are going to put this on Facebook. We know who you are. Because of embarrassment, it doesn't go reported to us, it goes unreported. But there are cases like this. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I'm not here to scare anybody, but these are common scams that we've seen in universities and also here at Carnegie Mellon. So my point being is be careful who you befriend on social media, and especially do never send naked pictures of yourself. Next, please. Again, visit us. We're on social media ourselves. We don't send any new pictures of ourselves, so basically it's cmu.edu police. On our website or on our social media, you can see what we do out there for the community. But on our website, you can find information on laptop, bicycle registration, how to get a police report, fingerprinting, and much more. Next, please. Any questions? I'll stick around. Basically, it's important to call 911 when you're off campus, and call us at the 2323 number, 268, if you have an emergency. Does anybody have any questions for me? I know that was kind of in a nutshell, but I wanted to get the basic safety information out there. I appreciate everybody's time. I'll stick around for a couple minutes if you have a personal question, but please be careful. Welcome to Pittsburgh and welcome to CMU.
Thank you, of course. That is not me. I don't know what that tweeting noise is. I don't know what that is. Okay. So I'll just say, we've reached the end of our program. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up at this point. I am happy to take questions. I'm happy to stand up here and take questions if folks want to come up and ask them rather than try to do here in the tent. We have some microphones, but I know that that's kind of awkward and can be difficult. So thank you all so much for your time and attention. If you have not already picked up one of the campus maps that we had printed with a walking tour on it, I strongly encourage you to do that. I mentioned earlier finding your way around campus and understanding what buildings are where. So we will continue to have those maps available at an information table inside the University Center and throughout these next couple of days. So please stop by and grab one of those and find your way around campus. Otherwise, we'll see you at tomorrow's events. For doctoral students, we start bright and early in the morning at 10 a.m. And master's students, our program starts in the afternoon at 1:30. So please check the schedule on Canvas, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.